But just be careful here with grammar, punctuation. This is all going to be very important in terms of shaping a marker's impression of your writing ability and your work. So here we say, exemplified in her rhetorical question, there's no comma or anything, it just goes straight into the quote. I mean, you would have to at least have a colon there because you're about to tell me what the rhetorical question is. You would then want to have a comma afterwards, right? So it didn't have a comma after this, even though I know it looks funny there because there was a question mark within the quote because you needed that question mark to show that it was a rhetorical question. You do still need a comma afterwards because there would be a natural pause there. Exemplified in a rhetorical question, pure, what does it mean? Plath evokes, see how we have to pause to then say what Plath is actually doing. So the way that this is structured does require a comma there. So just be careful with that. Also note that when the student has brought in the quote here, they haven't kind of integrated it in a seamless way. We always like to use quotes in a way where if you were to remove the quotation marks, the sentence would still flow naturally. This can be really difficult to do, especially when you have a quote like this. Sometimes the quotes just flow really well and you have a nice short quote that can be integrated seamlessly into the sentence so that it has that flow and you don't need to have a colon or again, a colon are these two dots here, and a comma, of course, like we want to avoid having to even use that. So we want to structure the sentence and word the sentence in a way that it's able to flow into the quote. And you also want to start the quote at an appropriate point where it would also allow you to have that flow. So you can look at kind of manipulating which part of the quotes you're using and the wording before you introduce the quote so that they integrate seamlessly and you don't have to actually pause to then say the quote. So the student hasn't done that here, and we would be trying to reshape it so that we could do it. So what's an example of that? Sometimes you have to add a few words in between the technique and the quote to get that flow happening. So exemplified in her rhetorical question as she contemplates the nature of pure. See how I've added the as? This can be really helpful. So if you've got a technique and then you've got a comma or a colon and followed by the quote, instead of doing that, eliminate that and add as and just provide a little bit of context or just frame it as in a way that says what she's doing. Okay, she's contemplating that. So as she contemplates the nature of pure, see how that actually flows? If I was to remove the quotation mark there, it would still flow nicely. Look to add in words like as and then a word like of before a word like pure. You know, you have to practice with this and get used to different examples to get good at it. But here's an example of how you can create a seamless transition there. So we can get rid of the comma or the colon altogether. Okay, that's going to help improve the sophistication and the flair of your writing.